All right, Jets fans, what's going on? As I'm sure you've already heard, Derek Carr being put on ice. Jarrett Stidham season for the Raiders the last couple of weeks. His career, Derek Carr's in Vegas, almost assuredly over. Now, I know we got a couple of games left to play this season, still in the playoff hunt. Mike White has a huge opportunity. Maybe he balls out, and then we don't even need to talk about Derek Carr. But for right now, it is definitely newsworthy. And with the information we have at this moment, he would definitely be on the Jets' radar heading into this offseason. Now, first things first, Derek Carr is not trash. I see a lot of that. Oh, Derek Carr, he's a bum. This is why Jets fans can never... No. He's not trash. He's not horrible. I don't understand how a fan base who's watched the likes of 40-year-old Josh McCown and Sam Darnold, Trevor Siemian, Luke Falk, back to Tim Tebow, Kellen Clemens, Zach Wilson, and Mark Sanchez. I don't get how we can, Joe Flacco. I don't get how we can watch all of that and think that Derek Carr is trash. He's not. However, just because he's better than what we've had for the better part of 2 decades doesn't necessarily mean we should automatically trade for him. The same old Jets bar is way too low. We kind of have to just look forward. If we're going to be different, we have to have higher standards. Does Derek Carr meet those standards? Well, let's talk about it. There are some pros and cons to acquiring Derek Carr. Pro number 1, he's realistic, okay? Everyone's saying, no, Derek Carr, go get Lamar, go get Aaron Rodgers. I think Derek Carr is more of a realistic trade candidate for the Jets than Lamar or Aaron Rodgers, who are obviously better players than Carr. The second thing I like about Derek Carr is that he's a proven professional quarterback. There's a floor of competency and professionalism that you're getting out of Derek Carr. He's also durable. If you look at his games played in his career, it's about 15, 15, 16, 16, 15, 16. Would have played him all this year if they didn't put him on ice to prevent injury to retain his trade value. And the final thing I like about Derek Carr is maybe even though he's over 30, maybe there's still some untapped potential in him being in a dumpster fire organization. Like he's been in his career like the 8th at his best, maybe down to like the 18th best quarterback in the NFL, with coaching changes, impending coaching changes, and coach getting fired for racist emails, and as wide receiver number 1 getting suspended for being involved in the tragic death of somebody, and just been a complete mess. And he has been the only thing that has kept them relevant and watchable for the better part of a decade. Now, the cons to acquiring Derek Carr, he is coming off of a down year. 2021, really solid. He dragged that roster against its will, kicking and screaming into the playoffs, and was going punch for punch with Joe Burrow in the first round. This year, the wins are down. The completion percentage has dropped 6 points, even though he has Devontae Adams. I don't know. Is it Josh McDaniels? Is he just getting older? I would feel a lot better about acquiring Derek Carr if we're coming off of his 2021 season than I would coming off of his 2022 season. There's also the issue of his contract. He's due for a cap hit of 40 million. And yeah, that's kind of the going rate for quarterbacks. But damn, if you're paying that much, you're not getting like a top 8 to 10 guy for sure. It does hamstring some flexibility with your other parts of your roster. But again, you got to have a quarterback. So what do you do? Also, Derek Carr, hey, he played in California and in Nevada. It's not too cold there. It gets pretty cold in Jersey, in Buffalo, and New England, and it's not a huge sample size, but he is 0-6 in career games played under 32 degrees, and his offense has never put up more than 18 points in any of those games. Is that an aberration? Was he playing really good defenses? I didn't dive too deep into it, but you don't really necessarily love to see that. So in summary, if JD feels like he's done his due diligence and we're getting, most likely the 2021 Derek Carr with a steady head coach and some weapons, hey, for once the Jets would be an organizational upgrade from another team with their brass and the way they're running things compared to the majority of how Vegas has run their show the past decade. My gut tells me, to be honest, that we'd be paying a little bit too much for production that we could get cheaper and on a shorter term contract. Could Mike White give us Derek Carr's standard 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 65% completions? You know what? I think he could. You don't know he could. So is it worth to pay that much for a proven commodity? Or do you roll the dice on someone cheap like a Mike White, Gardner Minshew? Could they do that? I actually think they could, but we don't know. So we'll see. Derek Carr, he wouldn't be my absolutely number 1 preferred option for the Jets for 2023. But it's definitely worth making a phone call. We'll see what happens. We got a couple of games to take care of first. We'll talk football soon. Go Jets.